Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my Philodendron Birkin. I'm going to be repotting this cute little guy into a new pot, as well as sharing 5 things you ought to know when it comes to caring for your Philodendron Birkin. Alright guys, today's video, 5 things that you ought to know when it comes to caring for your Philodendron Birkin. These things were all the rage. I still love mine, obviously. I'm not sure if they're just as popular as they used to be, but the great thing about Philodendron Birkins is this sort of striation of the green with the white, and I'm going to be repotting and sticking mine up in a slightly smaller container, which is fine. This one that it's currently in is probably a little bit too large for it anyway. And I'm going to be using a little bamboo stake just to help get this guy staked up, and it will just look much nicer and kind of grow and mature a lot better. I'm going to be sharing some crucial care tips, those 5 things that you ought to know when it comes to caring for these plants. Obviously, light, water, temperature, humidity, fertilization, and soil composition. I'm going to mix up the ideal ingredients for these philodendron right now, and I'll be right back to show you what you should be including in your soil mix. Thanks for checking out this video. I'm Tyler. If you like what you're seeing or you find this video to be useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, or better yet, you can hit that subscribe button. Now, to really show me some love, click on the bell for alerts and notifications for future content. Oh yeah, don't forget to check out my merch store, tylermossop.com. So today I'm going to be using a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Got a variety of different things in here, but the important part is that you are using chunky materials, stuff that's really going to promote drainage. So I have some orchid mix that has some bark, pine bark, decomposing pine bark, some horticultural charcoal, a little bit of perlite in there, as well as a little bit of gravelly stuff, as well as some peat moss. Basically, I'm using about 2 parts of the orchid bark mix to about 1 part of the other components, and this container is pretty small, so I don't need a lot of ingredients in here, but I'm gonna mix this up and use this as my mixture for my Philodendron Birkin. So the roots are looking nice and healthy. Got rid of a lot of that sort of bark mix from its previous container, and I'm going to be potting these up in that new mix. So yeah. All right, so this container should actually work just perfectly. The root ball fits in there nicely, and I'm just gonna kind of backfill with my new soil mix. Just fill the rest of this container up carefully. Like so. Just move this around. Right, awesome. All right, just a little bit more. Perfect. All right, so like I said, I want to use a bamboo stake just to keep this guy upright, and so it can help the plant do a little bit more maturing. So anytime you are working with philodendron and you use a moss pole or any sort of stake component, and the plant can kind of grow or vine, it's going to be able to mature much faster. And let's see if I can push through some of this horticultural charcoal at the base. All right, so that should be all right. I think I'm just gonna add a little bit more of this. Perfect. looks much nicer in this white container. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that okay. I'm gonna cut off a piece of this Velcro tape that I have, which I love for attaching my houseplants to their stakes. It's just really an easy way to do it, and no wiring or anything that's going to hurt or harm the plant. This Velcro just sticks really super easily as well. All right, so I think that's a good start. What do you guys think? All right, so now that this is good to go, let's jump into those crucial care tips. So 5 things you ought to know when it comes to caring for your Philodendron Birkin. We've covered soil composition. Any kind of aeroid mix for soil will work great. I showed you what I used, which should be wonderful as well. And that typically goes for most of your philodendron varieties. The Philodendron Birkin is no exception. These plants, like I said, were all the rage, and I hope they're still super popular. I love mine, and I do love the variegated striations and coloration on the leaves. I think it makes it really pretty. Now, when it comes to caring for these, they're no different than your typical philodendron, but I would say when it comes to watering them, you really want to make sure that these aren't drying out. That's the best advice I can give you. So the general kind of guidelines for watering your philodendron are using the finger test. Generally, you want to just kind of brush your fingers up against the top soil, and if it feels dry to the touch on that top inch or so, then that's a great indication that it's time to water it. In terms of lighting, these guys really do want bright indirect light. If you can give it that sort of dapple light with hits of direct sunlight, nothing too harsh, and also little bits of shade, then they will do even better. And I feel like that's the case in my plant space. They get a lot of bright indirect light, which they love. Sometimes you end up with these kind of leaves at the top that aren't unfurling, and on my Prince of Orange, I think it's like the worst, but that does tend to happen, and I think, I'm not sure if that's because they're a little bit drier than they normally should be, or what the case is. If you've experienced that or have any tips on why that might happen a little bit more frequently, then please let me know in the comments down below. But this guy definitely needs a little bit of water now that it's being repotted. So we've covered light and water. Let's jump into some of those other things you ought to know. So beyond the basics of light and water, there are some really important key things to take away from temperature, humidity, and fertilization. And also some of those tips that I talked about. Staking philodendron will mature more quickly. You'll get bigger leaves, bigger foliage, bigger plants when you stake them up, especially the ones that are really viney and want to crawl and climb. But humidity is also something that's super important when it comes to caring for Philodendron Birkin included. You really want to keep your humidity levels up to like the 60 plus 65% humidity. You can always pick yourself up a hygrometer from Amazon or whatnot. That will give you a little readout of your humidity levels. Or, you know, you can be like me and buy 3 or 4 humidifiers for your plant space, but they will appreciate that. The other thing is you must fertilize your philodendron with a balanced, well-diluted liquid fertilizer. You know, throughout the growing season, spring and summer, these plants, philodendron, they really do need to be fertilized in order to grow and develop. So this one is due. We're at the sort of end of spring, beginning of summer now. So this guy needs some fertilization. And temperature, you know, obviously when it comes to your philodendron, you want to keep them away from any sort of drafty space and sort of keep that constant temperature, you know, as best as you can. But that's basically it. Philodendron have to be probably one of my most favorite houseplants, if not the most sort of preferred, because I just love the variety. You can see this guy here has grown so big. This is the Macaulay's Finale. So, you know, my Birkin probably has some room to grow in terms of growth. Also have my Congo Rojo over here. So I just watered this guy, new water in its new pot, but it should be good to go if I find a nice, humid, sunny spot for it here, sort of set back from my south-facing window and my south-facing skylight, be able to soak up the sun and just kind of do its best. And before I forget, I will fertilize this guy as well. But there you go. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions, what you love or dislike, or any troubles you've had with your Philodendron Birkin. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Until the next one. Well, that's it for me. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. Definitely give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, miss you guys already. Until the next one.